Executive Council approves new national language policy. Senate approves more than 300 billion naira to offset export grant claims. House of Representatives moves to investigate persistent attacks on INEC facilities. Now, details. The federal government has approved more than 24.1 billion naira for the construction of a befitting housing accommodation for Deputy Inspectors General of the Nigerian Police. Minister of Information and Culture, Lai Mohammed, who announced this at a media briefing, said approval follows a memo to that effect presented by the Ministry of Police Affairs. State House correspondent Adam Sambo gives us details.
The befitting housing accommodation for the Deputy Inspectors General of Police is to be constructed under a public-private partnership arrangement. Virtually at no cost to government, the 39 luxury apartments will replace the existing dilapidated DIG quarters now to be demolished along Ghana Street in the highbrow Maitama district of Abuja, the nation's capital.
Very luxury apartments will be redeveloped, and 24 of them will be taken by the private sector that provided the funding, while the 15 will be used by the police. All we have offered is our land, and after the expiration of the lease agreement, the entire 39 buildings reverts to the Nigerian police force, and even while the agreement is on, the police is entitled to 1.5% of whatever rent is collected, from the 24 apartments, which will be taken by the private sector.
Another public-private partnership project approved by the council is on research and development of satellite technology and equipment for the provision of cost-effective satellite broadband service to rural Nigeria as well as the underserved communities.
Essentially, is to provide very cheap, reliable, affordable, high-speed fixed broadband to particularly the rural areas. If you will recall that at the moment, the broadband penetration is very, very low, abysmally low, and we need to increase that, complementing what the Ministry of Communications and Digital Economy is also doing, so that we can reach the underserved and of course the rural communities in particular.
NASDA is the lead agency in the partnership deal with the private sector, expected to design, finance, build, operate and transfer the facility to government after a 15-year concession period. On his part, the Minister of State, Budget and National Planning, Clement Agba, briefed the council on the 2022 third quarter GDP report recently released by the National Bureau of Statistics, which he described as encouraging.
Democracy that we preach about is delivering the greatest good to the greatest number of people. I think on the federal government side, we are doing our best. And I'm sure Wike told you guys about monies that we released, over 500 billion to the oil producing states. And I've seen some disclaimers from the states saying the small money they are getting on a monthly basis. And some are giving some half-truths. We need to hold them accountable so that together we all can grow our economy.
Describing Bayelsa State as second to Sokoto in terms of poverty rating in the country, the minister said the issue is not about availability of money, but indeed its application. From the State House, Adam Sambo, NTA News.
Meanwhile, primary school pupils across Nigeria are now to be taught in languages of their immediate environment, otherwise known as mother tongues, in the first 6 years of elementary education. A new national language policy for the country has been approved to that effect by the Federal Executive Council. Again, State House correspondent Adam Sambu has details.
This is the first time in decades the national language question will be formally addressed with this mother tongue teaching policy at the highest level of government in Nigeria. The intention is not only to ensure that primary school pupils assimilate better at elementary education, but also an attempt to safeguard indigenous languages in the country.
According to UNESCO, in the last few years, 29 languages in Nigeria became extinct. Even in Bauchi, I believe there is a language that is spoken by less than 10 people. Since the children are not learning, I believe in the next 20 years, that language will disappear. And once you lose a language, you are losing more than a language. You are losing a whole mindset, a whole world view, a cultural heritage that developed in that.
Theoretically, the mother tongue teaching policy starts immediately, but the minister said full operationalization depends largely on how soon the required teachers will be employed and the instructional materials in the nation's indigenous languages will be developed.
The objective of this policy is to promote and enhance the cultivation and use of all Nigerian languages. When the policy is fully operational, each locality will teach students in primary 1 up to 6 in their own mother tongue. Let's say in Lagos it will be in Yoruba. And then from junior secondary school you continue using English along with the native tongue.
With this new policy, your arithmetic, your mathematics, your nature study will be taught in your mother tongue. And it has been proven scientifically that children do better when issues are explained to them in their mother tongue than in another language.
Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice Abuja Malami secured the Council's approval for the engagement of consultancy firms that will help in the deployment of technology in building specialization, developing checklists, and providing technical services towards ensuring that necessary protection is accorded the federal government in drafting contractual agreements with third parties.
We are all aware of key incidences that happened as it relates to contract administration in Nigeria. One of them that is fresh in our memory is the P&ID, on account of which the federal government was by arbitral award subjected to a liability of over $10 billion on account of deficiency in the contract, which translated to a high risk. We are equally aware of the global steel contract relating to Ajakuta, the defect of which contract subjected to the federal government to higher risk and indeed stagnated our development towards industrialization on account of the fact that for over 2 decades, Ajakuta could not perform arising from the litigation. We are equally aware of similar contracts relating to Sunrise, on account of which litigation our dream to have Mambila could not proceed on account of litigations relating thereto.
The engagement of the consultancy firms at over 630 million naira, the minister explained, is aimed at protecting the federal government from further engaging in higher risk and defective contracts that may lead to litigation and enormous monetary damages capable of undermining national growth and development. From the State House, Adamu Sambu, NTA News.
And we now hand you over to our outside broadcast run in Kanu for a live telecast at the moment.
This is the network service of the NTA. We now join our outside broadcast crew for a live telecast. Please stay tuned.
Aminu Adubairu, CFR.